Hello and welcome to State of the Economy. Today we have with us a special guest, Pavan Varma, who's worked with Nitish Kumar. He's been advisor to Nitish Kumar with a cabinet rank, and after that he was member of Rajya Sabha on behalf of Nitish's party, and among other things, he's had rich and varied experience. He was a diplomat. He was dealing with diplomacy at the international level, and after that he resigned in 2012, joined politics, and he's also experienced the hurly-burly of Bihar elections, Bihar politics. Has been very closely associated with Mr. Nitish Kumar's recent election campaign. Welcome to our show, Mr. Pavan Varma. Your experience, it can't get more varied and rich. Diplomacy to, dealing with the Bihar politics, yeah.
And books.
And books, yeah. You've been author of several books, The Great Indian Middle Class being one of them. I'll ask you questions about how does Bihar fit into the Great Indian Middle Class story, evolving story. Now, let me open the conversation, Pavan, with your take on what exactly happened in the Bihar elections. Particularly in terms of messaging, it now is crystal clear that Nitish Kumar actually ran away with the development agenda, and he is seen as a development icon in his own right, promoting his own development model. And there's a political economy behind it, as opposed to other development models which have been bandied about, including Gujarat. Now, what sort of messaging went to the Bihari voter on this?
You see, Narendra Modi and the BJP initially came to Bihar on the slogan of Vikas or development. And I must confess that in 2014, the Lok Sabha elections, when Mr. Narendra Modi came, he was seen as a Vikas Purush, a man who promised development. And after the relative anti-incumbency moved against the last years of the UPA too, he carried a credibility with him. What the BJP forgot was that in the 18 months since then, on the one hand, Mr. Narendra Modi's personal credibility in terms of a person who speaks of Vikas but also delivers, had taken a big hit, not only in Bihar, across the country. And on the other hand, he was positing himself as a man of development against Nitish Kumar. Now, Nitish Kumar, if he is known in Bihari parlance, is called Sushasan Babu.
Okay.
A man of good governance.
Sure.
And the good governance that he has provided and the economic development that he has given to Bihar over 9 years of rule is not a theoretical paradigm. It has affected people's lives, it has percolated down, it has taken Bihar and transformed its image, although much work remains to be done, but transformed its image. For 5 years, Bihar had the highest growth rates in the country, except that the base was low. But a basket case was suddenly put into profile.
And the belief, self-belief.
Per capita income developed, the state's GSDP developed, roads were built, electricity was provided, and a great deal was done on education, on health. Now, against that form of economic development, which is good governance, economic development, but with social justice, inclusive growth, against that form of economic development, I'm afraid Mr. Narendra Modi's profile on development fell short.
Pavan, in a sense, what he's saying is right. I was in Bihar, and many other journalists. There was no journalist who went to Bihar, spent many days, could get any negative word out of the people in rural Bihar against Nitish Kumar. And in fact, that was one of BJP's problems. In fact, even BJP leaders themselves, even Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, were not attacking Nitish on development. They were calling him arrogant. They were trying to create a different messaging.
No, they made a mistake.
Exactly.
They attacked him on development as well.
Okay, they did. Some of the meetings that I attended.
See, Narendra Modi in his rallies used to ask, "Aapko sadak mili kya?"
But he never got a response.
And the audience sometimes would say, "हाँ, आपको बिजली मिली क्या?" And he would ask it 3 times in the same rhetorical style as he did in 2014. But this time he faced an audience which was saying, huh.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So he faced an audience, and after that, they figured that this was not working. Now tell me, but post facto, Mr. Arun Jaitley yesterday claimed that it was pure arithmetic that won. They were trying to, BJP is still trying to imply that that this election was not won on the development agenda. What do you have
If
to
it was pure arithmetic, why didn't the BJP win? They had, as they profess and as the pattern of the kind of people they gave tickets to, they had the upper caste.
Yeah.
They said they have the Dalits.
They had Kushwaha.
They had Paswan, they had Manji. Mr. Paswan and Mr. Manji were with them. So they said they have the Dalits. They said they have got 50% of the extremely backward caste on the agenda of development. They said even the Muslims will vote for them because now the Muslims won't want to be, they want development, so-called.
Yeah.
So if it was caste arithmetic alone, they said
Yadav, they said they're a breakaway.
the 50% of the Yadavs will break.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, we know they did not give a credible message, either on development or on social cohesion or on a certain respect for Bihar itself.
Okay.
You know, you are not dealing in an air-conditioned room with electoral coordinates based on non-empathy with the people you are dealing with. You have to have that empathy. It can't be just strategizing.
Yeah, okay.
And I think
So
somewhere
you think
they
that the
missed out.
empathy was lacking in the BJP's...
First of all, if
campaign?
the empathy was there, why would you, although I have nothing against them per se, why would you put up Narendra Modi and Amit Shah as the face of your campaign in an election in Bihar? There are leaders in the BJP who are from Bihar. We are not talking necessarily of the Bihari versus Bahari. As a national president, as the prime minister, they have to be involved in the election.
Yeah.
But should they become the only face of it for so very long and so visibly?
Yeah.
Should they only depend on Narendra Modi's rallies?
Yeah.
So in a sense, they lost the connect with the people of Bihar and felt that, if I may say so, just the resources that they can muster, be it in terms of the money power that they could deploy, the number of cabinet ministers they could deploy, the number of helicopters that they could use, that they would be able to make the people of Bihar vote for them. It doesn't happen anymore like that.
I also, Pavan, I'd like to just sort of check with you on this because you've been also there for so many months. After one meeting of Mr. Modi's, quite big, largely attended meeting at Muzaffarpur, where he told the audience that he had come up with a Jan Dhan Yojana program where 19 crore people have been given bank accounts and they've been given this accident insurance. Then I went and spoke to the audience there. They didn't seem to they didn't seem to connect with the Jan Dhan because they hadn't, most of them that I spoke to hadn't got the account. So do you think that
No,
that would be that was also partly a
my sincere advice,
mistake,
to, as an Indian citizen, to the BJP-led government at the center is that they should stop getting mesmerized anymore by the virtue of their own statistics. In other words, take the Dhan Jana Yojana. The whole emphasis is on saying we have got so many accounts open, so many crores. But now I asked the question
people
in
don't
Parliament.
feel it. People
no,
don't.
No, I asked a question in Parliament, and that was, it's true, it was in April 2015 or earlier.
Yeah, 70% of the accounts are non-operational.
No, zero transaction, zero balance. Or for instance, in Bihar, they claimed that they have 6 lakh voters on the basis of a missed call.
Okay.
That this is our membership of the party. And so how can we not win this election? It doesn't work like that. You've got to go beyond the statistics to the fine print of actual delivery. Economies don't run by the coining of clever slogans. They run on the substance that you put behind that slogan and how it reaches to the masses. And if I may say, that has been the strength of Nitish Kumar.
Exactly. I was coming to that. In fact, Pavan, we met Prashant Kishore, whom met Nitish, I believe through you. You introduced him to Nitish some 7-8 months ago, and he worked on the nuts and bolts of the campaign. And he was saying that when he started out with to work with Nitish, one image problem, as it were, with Nitish was that he was seen as a man who was a nuts and bolts administration man, political, who would sort of in the back room would sit and go through details and make projects work, whether it was his on education or health, cycles for girls, getting 9 lakh girls to attend higher classes, 9th class, that he appointing lakhs of teachers to school. So the Bihar problem was so enormous that Nitish probably in his initial 6-7 years got involved really hands-on into nitty-gritty, which is very important. But Prashant Kishore said he needed now to build a brand for himself. Whereas on the other side, I felt that there was a lot of brand, but there wasn't a product. Here there was a product, but there was no branding. Would you agree with this characterization? Which got built? Huh?
I will slightly disagree with my good friend Prashant. You see, all of us work on campaigns, and Prashant Kishore also worked on the campaign. But don't forget, ultimately, it's the leadership was of Nitish Kumar. And if I may say so, he had already become a brand before this election. And why was he a brand? Not by the flamboyance of his style, not by the number of speeches he gave, not by the slogans he coined. He was a brand because of 3 factors: good governance, economic development with social justice, and resolute, let me add, say 4.
And social infrastructure.
Yeah. No. When I say good governance, I include the infrastructure.
Okay.
But social justice, that means the fruits of economic development in a country like ours must also go down to the poorest of the poor, the marginalized, the downtrodden, the ati pichda, and the mahadalit and dalit. That is part of a conscious strategy. It reflects a certain conscious thought which got translated into administrative practice. And if I may say, primacy of law and order, the restoration of law and order. And lastly, all of these in an atmosphere where he gives a lot of emphasis on religious and social harmony. You cannot have India. Good governance in India
has to include all these elements.
Good governance and religious and social harmony in India are 2 sides of the same coin, something which the BJP has forgotten.
So in a way, Pavan, what you're saying is good governance must essentially have a political economy base, political base rather than some administrative. It's not some administrative phenomenon. It's
no formula. It can't be an administrative formula.
It is a political.
It's an ideology.
Yeah, it's an ideology. So, so would you say that from what you just said, it appears that Nitish politically he strove over the last say 10 years to create a certain class out of caste, a class of people who are deprived. And in order to give a special focus on them, he actually systematically created that, identified that class out of caste to
no. Let me illustrate what you are saying. Theoretically, economic development must also benefit the poor. The successful cannot secede to form their own republic. Except in fantasy, you can't build the first floor of a house without a ground floor or a basement or a foundation. So you have to, in our country, where there is still so much pervasive poverty, work for the poorest of the poor. Society must grow together. The difference with Nitish Kumar was that he took it beyond the slogan and so modeled his economic policies that they were institutionally meant to benefit. Now, what did he do? Take the Dalit base. There are many areas of affirmative action. He carved out Mahadalit because he felt that beyond the creamy layer among the Dalits, those who really need to be benefited must be done so by categorizing them in a particular category where the benefits actually reach through administrative control.
And
Similarly with the OBCs,
Ati Pichhda.
Ati Pichhda. No, that's only one
In
example.
a sense, he was doing class politics. He's not doing caste politics.
No,
right?
even for the minorities. It's a myth that minorities have voted for us only because they believe the BJP is largely a Hindu party or speaks more for them. The minorities have supported Mr. Nitish Kumar and the Mahagathbandhan because in his 9 years, Mr. Nitish Kumar has done a lot for the poorest of the poor. Even among the upper caste, he has set up a commission to help the economically underprivileged who could belong to the upper caste. And you will see, if you analyze the results of last 3 elections, Nitish Kumar and the JDU have had the support of all sections of society.
Sure.
From the upper caste to the Mahadalits.
And here I would, Pavan, I'd like to ask you about women voters. Now, there was a narrative that because Nitish had done so much for the girl child and the girls going to school, which I heard villagers saying that bachchiyon ko frock, kitab, kapde, poshak cycle was a kind of, almost like a household kind of package, you know. Even Brahmins, upper caste, was saying that this is a great thing that he's done. They may have gone and voted for BJP, I don't know. Now, how do you think Nitish, this package that he developed now, how will he continue this now in the next 5 years? What will he do? He's done these things and he's got the results, he's got support. Now, what remains to be done?
No, that he has outlined in a typical manner with a great deal of thought. Before the elections were announced, he had announced what are called his Saat Nishchay, his 7-point program, which includes a series of things for the youth who are aspirational, including 4 lakh smart credit cards, Wi-Fi, 1,000 rupees per month for 9 months for anybody unemployed looking for a job, 35% reservation for all women in government jobs, and electricity to the last home, piped water to the last home, roads to the last home, including typically of Nitish Kumar's sense of detail, nalis also to be made pakka. Now, that's what he wants to do.
That's the engineer in him,
Yeah, but let me tell you, people come to Bihar thinking it's become a form of Paris. Please remember, Bihar is the least developed state. If we continue to grow for the next 25 years at the highest growth rates of any state in India, which at one time Bihar did, which was over averaging 12%, we will still then only manage to reach the average per capita income of India as a whole. That is how poor Bihar is. And that is why in such adverse circumstances, the transformation is particularly creditable. But we have lost so much more to do.
Yeah. So basically you're saying that you should look at rate of change. Rate of change in Bihar versus rate of change in other states. That's the metric of comparison.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, certainly.
Tell me, Pavan, I met Nitish ji and you were also there, and I asked him about national politics. So he said that Bihar will also signal a new form of politics which is emerging in the country. And he later also, after winning, he said this result also reflects a deep desire among the people to have some kind of opposition space alternative at the center. He also significantly told me that he and others, Laluji and others, are all students of Lohia. And interestingly, he said Lohia always focused on anti-Congressism during that period, 40 years ago. He says anti-Congressism is dead. Today, the real establishment is BJP and the Sangh Paribhar, which I actually wrote, I quoted him. Now, what does this signify?
Well, let me say one thing. Bihar sends an important message across India. It sends an important message because it signals the emergence of an alternative paradigm of politics, and whose essential features are, of course, good governance, but good governance which goes beyond slogans.
which is
economic
inclusive
development
and
with social justice and religious and social harmony. As they say, भाईचारा, प्यार, मोहब्बत, अमन, चैन, शांति से ही देश ये आगे चलेगा. This is the more compassionate, human, all-inclusive, embracing philosophy which delivers economic development but not at the cost of social divisiveness. This is the message out of Bihar.
Yeah.
Nitish Kumar, in my view, is today with Lalu Prasad ji. He, whatever his excesses, I can tell you, in Bihar, he is seen as a symbol of social justice,
Yeah.
who led to the empowerment of voices which were otherwise ignored, neglected, or not heard.
yeah.
Nitish Kumar, by the force of his ideas and his performance, in my view, is already and was on the national stage.
Yeah.
This election will put the alternative paradigm of politics on center stage.
So in that context, again, taking what Nitishji said about Lohia, in some sense, BJP and the Sangh Parivar politics is seen as the main, the main forces to be countered. That is the establishment today at the center. That was the suggestion. So
No, one reaction that we got after this election, and I must say, even from supporters of the BJP, was a sense of relief. This is a great country. I am a proud Hindu. And I have written a book on Krishna and on Yudhishthir, the Mahabharata. Shankaracharya traveled across the length of and breadth of this country and won his place as India's foremost philosopher by argumentation, shastrarth, dialogue, persuasiveness, not by killing people or throwing ink on their faces. My point is, India, it is a plural country, it is a country of diversity. Unless you respect that plurality and that composite culture, you are not going to be able to deliver on governance, and you'll also divide the country. This is a very important message. I see a huge sense of relief. And the lumpen, illiterate, extremist, fanatical voices in the name of Hinduism devalue Hinduism itself.
So let's hope the winter session of Parliament makes people
would like it to
sense
run.
on both sides of the divide. Thank you very much, Pavan Varma, for talking to us. That's all we have in this edition of State of the Economy. We'll be back with you next week. Thanks for watching.